Hi, I'm Richard from Drive Green, and today we're going to be taking a look at the MG5, MG's all-electric estate. Its predecessor, the MG ZS EV, has been hugely successful. And today we're going to have a look at the differences and perhaps try and decide whether we think the MG5 is going to follow in the footsteps of its brother. At the same time, hopefully I can help you decide whether the MG5 might be the right electric car for you. The MG5 follows in the footsteps of the MG ZS EV, which was super successful, becoming the 5th best-selling EV in the UK in 2020. This, I think, is a huge achievement for a Chinese manufacturer, even though they are using what has previously always been thought of as a British brand. And I think a lot of this success can be attributed to the fact the car's got such a strong, affordable pricing and is very much positioned at the value end of the EV market. The MG5 followed the ZS EV almost exactly a year later, with its launch at the end of 2020. Its arrival was almost as eagerly anticipated as that of the ZS EV, because the MG5 has been heralded as, well, the EV market's first proper true electric estate. And I know from experience of dealing with customers that actually there's a lot of people out there who would like an estate car, and currently there isn't really anything that fills that space. Just like the ZS, the MG5 has been positioned at an incredible price point, and it's definitely set to be a very strong option in the family EV market thanks to its practicality and great value pricing. And the thing is, the MG5 is super affordable. The low price point has always been the party trick, if you like, of the ZS EV. However, MG have done the impossible, and the MG5 is actually cheaper still, a full £1,000 in fact. That value is absolutely incredible, especially when you consider actually how good this car actually is. I am genuinely really surprised and impressed by this car, especially for its price. As well as value, the MG5 stands out from the crowd because it's an estate. What that means, you've got incredible practical sizing, which is always of huge appeal to the family market, who are often looking for a car that can perform every role, including the all-important family holiday. And this is where the MG5 is brilliant. It's actually a really large car, and not large in that unnecessary sense like you often get with some of the larger SUVs, which are large just for the sake of it and for the purposes of styling. But it's actually large where it counts, having a massive 580-litre size boot. And this is the thing about estates and why they are so loved, as the boot is not only big, it is practically proportioned, so you can not only get lots of stuff in it, but big things too. And with the seats folded down, you get a massive 1,450 litres of space, which is simply amazing. And although you get the practicality of a large estate-sized boot, it's not particularly wide as a car or unnecessarily proportioned from a styling point of view. And as a result, you have a car that is quite drivable on a daily basis and easily capable of handling tight Cornish lanes, for example. And this is a big win for the MG5. It's got probably the most practically sized boot in the entire EV industry, and that's at a third of the price of something like the Audi e-tron, for example. Even when you compare it to its brother, the ZS, which is also very practically sized and has a nice big boot, it is the MG5 that wins, with its boot being almost 25% larger, even with the rear seats up. Style-wise is where the MG5 lets itself down a little bit, I think. It's just kind of so decidedly bland-looking. It's got a bit of a look of a Passat or maybe an Accord about it, but at the same time, you can see there's a bit of a lack of aesthetic focus put into the car. It might be nice, for example, to have some bigger wheels or some other alloys as an option, perhaps. That being said, it's not offensive looking, and lots of people don't necessarily want their cars to stand out from the crowd, preferring just to blend in, which is something I think the MG5 does very well. For me, the ZS wins on the looks front. However, looks are very subjective, and certainly when you're looking for a car to be practical first and foremost, looks aren't necessarily that important. Based on this car's low price, you might expect it to have, well, quite a nasty, cheap interior. But the opposite is true. It's actually really nice. It feels very solid, it feels very well put together. It's put together with intent. It looks quite stylish and well designed, and the materials are okay too. It's not a premium car by any means, but equally at the same time, it doesn't feel like you would expect the cheapest EV out there to feel. It's actually really quite nice. The very low price point of the ZS EV did show itself in places. Things like the air vents and the switches sort of let the car down a little bit. You also had a terrible dash display. I'm very pleased to say in the MG5 the dash display has been considerably improved. In particular, the battery charge level indicator looks much better. When you drop down a level from the lovely exclusive model that we're driving today into the Excite model, you do lose these fabulous faux LED. It is a lot cheaper, so it still represents great value. Not only does the MG look and feel well made, its build quality is assured by the warranty it carries. Most EVs are going to carry a 3, sometimes a 4-year, very rarely a 5-year warranty. However, the MG has a full 7-year warranty on the whole car, which is fantastic, especially given the price of the car. This amazing warranty means you are assured of a quality and reliable machine despite the value price point of this car. Being such a low-cost car, you would expect the MG to be fairly low on spec. However, that's not the case at all, and it carries the spec of what you would generally consider a much more expensive car. Today I'm driving the higher spec exclusive model, which is very nice. You've got these lovely faux leather sort of sport seats, which are very nice and comfy. They're also electrically adjustable and have got lumbar support as well. You've got Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, you've got an electronic handbrake, you've got auto hold, which I think is a really nice touch to have. You've got a reversing camera, auto dip rear view mirrors, electric folding wing mirrors that are also heated as well. You've got auto lights, cruise control. Generally, it's a very nice, well-spec'd car. It's missing a couple of options that you get in the ZS EV exclusive model. You don't get the pan roof, and you also don't have the adaptive cruise control or the steering assist. However, you have to remember that this car is a full £1,000 cheaper. If these options are important to you, be sure to check out our review of the ZS EV as well. If you go for the lower spec Excite model, you lose these sort of lovely faux leather seats and you've got fabric seats instead. They're also manually adjustable rather than being electrically adjustable. The wing mirrors are manually adjustable as well in terms of folding, and they're not heated either. You don't have the keyless entry. You lose the auto-dipping rear view mirror, and you lose the roof rails as well. It might be a lower spec car, but the Excite model being a full £2,000 cheaper, it still represents incredibly good value. So after the cheapest EV possible, an MG5 Excite model is possibly the one to go for. Drivewise, I've been really impressed with the MG5. From my previous experiences with the original ZS EV, I was expecting the car to be a little bit unrefined and perhaps a little bit noisy. However, that's not true at all. It's a lovely smooth drive and it's really quiet. MG have also added a more powerful motor. You've got a 115 kilowatt motor now, which is a full 10 kilowatts more powerful than the ZS has. And actually you can feel the difference, especially when the car's in its sports mode. It really is a brisk car. It corners very nicely as well. I mean, obviously it's an estate car, so it hasn't necessarily been built with performance and handling in mind. But that being said, yeah, it handles absolutely perfectly, very competently in fact. The auto hold I also think has been improved over the original ZS, in which I felt was actually quite clunky, whereas in the MG5 actually it disengages very smoothly. You've also got 3 different regen braking settings, which is really nice, and in its highest setting you really do get to enjoy that one-pedal driving style, which I think is so important and characterises EV driving. I even fancy that perhaps I think MG may have increased the regen level slightly in this car. Overall, the drive is much better than you would expect for a car at this price point. I was personally really pleasantly surprised. The MG5 comes with a 52.5 kilowatt hour battery,
which is about 20% more than you get in the MG ZS EV. MG claimed that the MG5 has got a 214-mile driving range, which is almost 50 miles more than its brother, the MG ZS EV, which is loads extra. Personally, I'd rein in sort of the range expectations a little bit, and I'd probably have this car being a 180 to maybe 200-mile range car, but that's still really, really good, and certainly plenty adequate for most people and their regular driving requirements. If you're planning on doing some long-distance driving in your MG5, the car comes with a CCS rapid charging connection, which means a 30-minute charging stop at somewhere like the motorway services should give you about an extra 70 miles worth of driving range back in the car. This makes it a very competent long-range driving EV, and if you add on to that the fact it's got an enormous boot, you've got the perfect holiday EV, which is great. In terms of things I dislike about the MG5, I don't actually have an awful lot to say. Contrary to my thoughts after driving the ZS EV, where I did have a few things to criticise, the only thing really in the MG5 I would moan about is the infotainment system, which is still pretty awful. It does, however, come with Android Auto and Apple CarPlay as standard, so if you're using those to connect to the car, then the MG interface being so poor doesn't really matter and is largely irrelevant. So even that isn't that much of a criticism, really. The MG5 offers incredible value. I always thought value was the party trick of the ZS EV and was going to be really hard to beat. However, MG have achieved the impossible. Then with the MG5, you've got a car that's even more practical, it's got a bigger range, it's got more power, and it costs even less money. It's super, super affordable. It's really quite well put together. It's got decent spec, it drives very nicely too, and it's got the all-important practicality of being an estate. With all these strengths, I can see the MG5 being as popular as the ZS EV has been, and I think it's going to be a hugely successful EV.
I hope this video has been useful in helping you find out a little bit more about the MG5. If you'd like to find out more or would like to arrange a test drive, please do get in touch. Thank you very much for watching. Please be sure to check out our other EV review videos and subscribe to our channel, and hopefully we can help you find the right electric car for you.